So today, we're going to be talking about the oldest team in NASCAR, Wood Brothers Racing. Founded in 1953, these guys hold the illustrious record of being the longest active team in the sport for over 65 years of racing. That was back before my girlfriend left me. In that time, they've done a few pretty cool things, like, I don't know, inventing the modern pit stop, getting the car serviced fast.
They invented that.
Or winning the Indy 500, whatever that is. Flashback to 1953 in the Ridge Mountains of West Virginia. There are two workers at a log mill by the name of Glenn and Lee Wood, and these guys were obsessed with cars. When they weren't at the mill, they were chilling out at their father's garage. So naturally, when they were inspired by friend and fellow driver Chris Turner to start a stock car team, they went for it. Going for your dreams and succeeding. Like a fairy tale, right? Wrong. Right after Glenn Wood's first race, the team was on their way home with a car on a tow truck when the car had a brake issue and caught fire. With no water or fire department in miles, the brothers had no choice but to sit and watch their beautiful creation burn to the ground. But with 2 weeks to go until the next race, the team came through. The show went on, and so did Glenn for that matter, going on to win 4 races, including the Daytona Beach Circuit, and become one of NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers of all time. Another 19 of which would at one point or another go on to drive for the cause. We're talking drivers like So back to the story. As the demands of being a car owner were increasing, Glenn Wood found himself with less and less time to drive. So they began searching for a replacement for the '64 season. Now believe it or not, they actually had a really tough time trying to find a driver. However, after some asking around, they eventually got Chris Williams to drive. And they got quick. It wasn't too long before they quit their jobs to build a shop in Stewart, Virginia and worked there full time. It was about this time that they took up the notorious number 21. Now, they were competing amongst the highest levels of Grand National racing, with the only competition in sight being the king himself. Fast forward to 1965. So the Wood brothers have been killing it in NASCAR pretty much everywhere, neck and neck with only the prestigious Petty team. But they truly shined in one area. Pit stops. That's right, these guys invented the modern pit stop. Not IndyCar, not F1 of Le Mans, no, but a few guys from the mountains of Virginia in freaking NASCAR. In fact, they were so good that when it came time for the great Colin Chapman to come over to the US with Ford and bring the first ever mid-engine car to Indy, these guys were the ones who got the call to be the pit crew. And dear God did they answer it. When they arrived at the shop, they seemed well received, but some Lotus team members had their doubts, being quoted as saying, "I hope they can pit faster than they talk."
I'll say that.
Did they? You're damn right they did. When their Indy debut was said and done, the team had set records, spending only 41.9 seconds in the pits, and while they were at it, setting an overall speed record of 150 miles per hour with an unproven car and the first foreign win since 1916. A no longer doubtful Colin Chapman was even seen jumping the pit wall to embrace the brothers after the race. Alright, so now we're to bring things up to 1972, the Pearson years. So imagine Chuck Norris teaming up with Bruce Lee. That's what this was, but better. From day one, it seemed as though the Pearson-Wood combo was one for the books, and believe me, it was. Scoring the first of 50 poles Pearson would eventually run for the Woods, and later that season, the first of 43 wins, these guys were on fire, to the point of being invited to the White House later in '76. We're going to have to do a whole video on this alone at some point. So the next notable jam in the Wood Brothers soundtrack of Winage came in 1980 when Neil Bonnet invented draft evasion at Pocono. Basically, he'd move around a lot of the straights, not to block, but to mess with the air so that no one can slingshot past him. It was freaking genius. This amazing and innovative technique led to a win over Buddy Baker by .06 seconds and has been used at super speedways ever since. On to the now. Since then, the Wood brothers have claimed their 12 wins and have been credited with launching the careers of drivers such as Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, and most recently, Ryan Blaney in 2017, proving yet again that through the years, the Wood brothers have stood the test of time, and to this day, they are not just a museum, but an active threat to win week in, week out. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, feel free to drop a like and subscribe.